Tonight's episode of Off the Hook is presented by the Boathouse. Whether you are looking for a new boat, accessories, or parts, the Boathouse has been servicing the local boating communities of Oconomowoc, Lake Country area, Madison, Lake Geneva, Southeast Wisconsin for over 30 years. We would be happy to share our knowledge and give you the information to make informed choices. Our job is to help boaters love boating.
The result of a slow start, Lakeshore lost 10-6 tonight to the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders. For Wyatt Kopelman and Andrew Lind, I'm Charlie Dern. Welcome to episode 16 of Off the Hook. So Andrew, I just mentioned the slow start. We were talking about it ourselves. We heard it a lot from the fans. Wake up. The Chinooks had the slowest start I think we've seen all season. It was just a sloppy start. What'd you see?
I'm not even sure if I know what I just watched. That was maybe the craziest game of baseball, back and forth, or I guess kind of back and forth towards the ends, back and forth through the middle part, but 7 errors. The most that the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders have played against all season, and the most for the Chinooks for that matter. Just players trying to do much, too big of plays, and just the ball slipping through the infield. Travis Akery talks a lot about playing clean baseball, and that was not the case tonight. Just need to be better going forward.
Yeah, just to add to that, the 7 errors really just not helping the Chinooks whatsoever, Andrew. They put up 13 hits tonight, 12 hits last night up in Fond du Lac at Herbaker Field, and the Chinooks just weren't able to capitalize in the middle innings. They really had a strong rally going through the 4th and the 5th, had one thanks to a Nathan Ade single that turned into a triple situation off of a 2-base error committed by the Fond du Lac right fielder, and then it was Orlando Salinas really just registering his first home run of his career. So Chinooks really had a lot going in the 4th and the 5th. We thought we'd see another comeback win. Unfortunately, just leaving too many guys on base. I believe it was 9, and then just giving up far too many free passes as well was what really was the dagger in their hearts, as it was 14 walks given out by the Chinooks pitching staff tonight. They used a lot of arms too.
Yeah, Wyatt, you just mentioned that middle inning comeback that we had, and it seems like that's a theme that's been going on all season. We slowly start crawling as we get going. We get to the 4th, 5th, 6th innings, and then we come alive, and then the energy comes. We just saw the end there. The dugout finally woke up. Coach was telling them about it and everything. How do you think we can just get that going from the start?
Well, Charlie, the slow starts are really just not going to help us whatsoever. Even if we are able to keep earning the comeback kids badge every night, it's just not going to always result in a win. That's something the Chinooks, our young team, you're really going to have to learn going forth through the last 10 games here at home, really 9 actually after tonight. So not relying on that comeback kids badge is a huge one, and then just relying a lot more on the run support earlier, not falling behind as much. And then the starting pitching tonight, just saw those first 2 runs turn into runs immediately. Those first 2 runners turn into runs immediately off a sacrifice fly and then a stolen base. And they weren't able to just keep guys like Chandler Simpson, others in the lineup off the base pass. They were just flying all the way around. Victor Scott, too, a couple of the Northwoods League leaders in stolen bases. And the Chinooks just were not able to get much else going. A lot of momentum was lacking, I think, from Miles Halligan and Ryan Youngbauer, who left the game with that forearm injury, apparently.
Yeah, and you just mentioned Chandler Simpson. He actually had 5 stolen bases tonight, along with 8 for the Dock Spiders. And a big key for that was that they drew 14 walks tonight, and that's never going to win ball games. But what do you think the pitching was doing? Because obviously they started off with 4 runs and no hits, and how can we continue to pitch well but play better defense?
You know, I think the pitching is going to rely on the defense, and that's the bottom line. If the defense can turn into a lot better of a unit collectively, you get a lot more out of Colton Bauer. I think had an off night tonight defensively, and then just not committing as many errors late and making the smart plays. We saw a lot of questionable plays throughout in the infield, and that was really what stung the Chinooks when it came to preventing extra runs from being put on the board. It was a 10-4 ball game after it was an 8-4 ball game, which culminated from a lot of errors. So Chinooks just have to play a lot better in the infield to support their pitching. And as for the pitching, they're going to be fine. They have to just continue to forget about these close losses. It wasn't even a close loss tonight, but just the big deficits that they were able to fall into. Chinooks pitching has to move on and just focus on a better start each time out. It's what we've seen from the number 1, number 2 guys, and it's going to have to carry through as Travis Akery continues to emphasize really just the pitching spearheading this team.
Well, we're up against the Raptors tomorrow night, Andrew, a team that we've had great success with this season. We're running out of time, though, to make the playoffs. What are some keys to make that final push with about 20 games left in the season?
Yeah, one of the biggest things is that these players have to realize that they are still in it, despite the record, whatever the record shows, now 8-11. Coming today, they were 3 games back, and when you beat teams like Fond du Lac, who lead the Great Lakes West Division, you gain a game, versus when you play teams that are not in first and you only get a half game. So very much still in it, although there's only about 20 games left, like you mentioned. Then again, Travis Acre, back to that clean baseball, and just players not trying to do too much. And then for the pitching, almost half of our errors came from the pitchers. So just pitchers really focusing in on the batters and not worrying about the runners, letting the catcher and the fielders behind them take care of that. So I think if we can just get ahead against the Raptors tomorrow early, we'll be okay. And again, the thing that we've been pressing on all season is the last 10 games against the Raptors were 8 of 10. So definitely something to look forward to.
You know, I think also the accumulated strikeouts has really plagued the Chinooks in kind of a passive way. You know, we look at the number of guys left on base, and we've looked at all of the fielding errors that have really come back to haunt us in late game situations. But just the strikeouts, they started to mount over the middle innings, late innings tonight. We only had just a couple, despite being the fourth most strikeout team in the league. So the Raptors are going to come in with a solid lineup, maybe not as solid as what you see from the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders, who were number one when it comes to team average, as well as number two when it comes to hits on the season. So not necessarily a game that the Chinooks can really just sit back and relax and watch the runs pour in, as we've seen in the late innings when they've been able to rally back and win these 1-1 ball games. But they're going to have to come out and attack early. Something the Chinooks are going to have to continue getting better at doing consistently.
Lakeshore returns tomorrow night at Capco at 6:35 p.m. facing the Wisconsin Rapids Rafters. We'll see you tomorrow.